Welcome back to Mixed.
and Mingled. We're your hosts,
Misha.
and Miko. On this episode, we're talking dating.
Oh boy, this is gonna be a fun one. I'm excited. Clayton also said he was gonna listen to this one. So
Oh boy. Oh boy.
apparently he's trying to tune in and see if we're gonna be talking shit about him. So
I mean, hey, tell him to be ready.
hey, buckle up, buddy. Buckle up.
I didn't tell Chuck. I don't even know if I didn't even tell him about it. It's fine. It's all good.
Oh, it's all right. So how was your weekend?
It was good. We just kind of hung out. This weather has been just ridiculous. I don't think we've seen the sun since last Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh,
So it was fine because we just kind of hung out and we were chill, but I was like, this is a little bit much for me.
yeah. It's wild. It's the same thing here. I was traveling last week and then I got back and it's been nonstop rain. It's been just muggy, hot AF rain. It's
Yes.
just so gross. But
That's the
it is what
weird
it is.
part too. It's the rain. It's like this tropical kind of randomness.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody was like, our pool barbecue got canceled.
Oh
It's normally too
no.
cool here anyway. I'm
Yeah.
not bathing suit ready, so it's fine. I get 2 more weeks to
You be
eat more.
good.
Just
You
kidding.
are good. You are good.
So it's fine. How was your weekend?
It was a blur, honestly. We went over to a neighbor's. They were having like a pizza thing, so that was cool. Our neighbor makes pizza from scratch. He literally makes his own dough, the whole
Oh
nine.
my gosh.
So that was a ton of fun. And then the next, I guess on Memorial Day, we had another friend in our neighborhood that was hosting like a backyard barbecue. It
Okay.
was so sweet because towards the end of it, they come out with a cake singing, and I'm like, who's that
Was
for?
oh
They were singing from it was so sweet.
That's so sweet, and you are a hard person to surprise, so the fact that you got surprised
Yes.
means a lot.
Oh my god, it was so funny. Clayton was like, "Gotcha." I'm like, "Hold up. You were in on this?"
Listen, there was one time that I tried to throw you a surprise birthday party
Mhm.
at the
Mhm.
winery, and you were
Mhm.
trying to give me all the reasons why we shouldn't go, and finally was like, "We're supposed to be going for your surprise birthday." You're like, "Oh." So,
Oh
like,
my god.
surprise. So, props. That's
I
cool.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. And I had actually picked up a shift that day. I was like, girl, I gotta make some money. What you talking about surprise?
That is so cute because your birthday is in 2 more days.
My
No,
birthday's
it's
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. I
Dang.
know. The big 4-3 is upon me.
You know what? If you round, it still goes back to 40. So that's what we're still in the round down phase. I still
I
love a
don't.
birthday, but
Yeah.
yes.
I do not round down at all. It's funny because I was just out in Cali and I was out to dinner and the waiter legit was like, I gave him my ID and he goes, yeah, I'm not serving you. And I go, I'm sorry,
Servant.
why? He goes, because this is not you. And I go, sorry, if you don't pass me my bottle of soju right about now.
Was he
As
thinking it
I'm
was a fake ID?
Yes, because I'm there with my nephew who is 20 who had a fake ID. And I was like, I'm not
The
trying to blow
switch.
his spot,
I
but
love it. I
sir,
love it.
I'm gonna need you to please hand me my bottle of juice, okay?
I'm telling you, girl, the potions and lotions are working. Thank you.
Hey,
Hey,
something's
girl.
happening. But I was
I
like,
love
okay,
it.
if you think I'm not 21.
It yes, that is so funny. So wait, did he actually card
He did not
your
card my nephew. He only carded me. I was like, this is some
this is some
side bullshit, but it's okay. I'll take it.
at the same point, just keep going, it's fine.
Just keep going.
I
I'm like, I'm
love it.
just make sure I tell Clayton this.
That is so cute. Well, happy early birthday. We love
Yay,
you.
thank you. Thank you. Love you too.
This
Yay.
Okay, so I do have a quick question
Yeah,
because I had to get your
shoot.
take on this one. So,
Uh-oh.
my IG reel. No, this is a fun one.
Okay.
Okay. I want you to think back to prom because that has been on my feed all day long. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I got to ask Misha about this. These kids, this, that's the most millennial thing I've ever said, or it's in a
These
whatever
kids.
generation that we are, right?
Yeah.
These kids and these proms. I am like taken so aback because these people are coming out for
Mhm.
prom. These girls and their prom dresses, they have
Yep.
balloon arches, they have drones, they've got, I don't know, lights, cameras, 50, 11 people at prom. What is this? What is your thought on these crazy prom debuts? I guess that's what they're called.
Okay, so I have actually been listening about this because everybody in our generation and above have been talking about this.
Okay.
And the consensus is that the parents are saying, well, we don't think we'll see a wedding in our lifetime with our kids. So we're going to spend the
Oh,
money for prom because this is going to be the closest thing to a marriage that's going to happen.
got
And
it.
it is wild to think that because, girl, we rented a PT Cruiser. We showed up at our house, took some pictures, and we were on the prom
On the
at a
porch.
on
My
the
pictures were
porch.
on the porch. I would sit there, you had them stand behind you. You had a couple prom
Mhm.
pics. You were like, "Ooh, let me put a little planter right here to make it fancy." And these chicks are coming out with
Yes.
like straight fireworks.
They are doing the most, and I get it, but listen, embrace it because having a wedding is definitely expensive.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, they are doing enjoy it.
Yes.
Props to them. But it is a whole ass production.
I mean, the dresses are beautiful. The
Yeah.
whole thing is super cool. I mean, these parents are going out. I was
Yeah.
just like, I mean, I don't know if part of me was a little bit jealous where I was like, dang, some of these prom
I
things are
didn't
better than
have
my
this.
wedding. I was
Yeah.
like, but dang.
Girl, seriously.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that was just what my feed was. I was like, I have to ask her because I hadn't talked to you since the last time that we recorded. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I need to ask.
It was wild. I mean, but power to him. I'm just
Yes.
over here like, scroll.
I'm sitting here
Next.
going down a rabbit hole like,
Yeah.
okay, it's like sweet 16 up
Yeah.
in here. I was like, dang.
Can we get back to my mom content, please? Because I
Thank
can't.
you. Thank you. Swipe. Let me talk about golden doodles over here.
Oh my
So
God,
let's
that's
get
funny.
into this episode. What are we going to be talking about this week?
Yes. So this week we're going to be talking about dating before marriage. This is going to
Mm,
run the gamut of everything. Um,
circus.
it's gonna be a whole ass circus. But this time we came a little bit more prepared. This yes is our very first video podcast, so we
So
had to
exciting.
do it up a little bit. Um, but we also came a little prepared with this episode because we wanted to not leave any stone unturned. We wanted to be intentional with the questions, so we actually wrote questions. So I'm excited.
Yes.
So for yeah, we're gonna get into the nitty gritty, and I'm excited about this one.
I,
I'm gonna let you
it's
kick
going to
it
be a good
off.
one.
I'm gonna let you
Okay.
kick it off.
Okay. So, first question is, who were you when you first started dating seriously versus who you are now?
I don't think I'm very different than who I
Okay.
was when I first started seriously dating. If anything, I think I am just a bit or who
The
I
thought
don't know
process.
because I feel like I was always a serious dater. I wouldn't get into a casual thing. It was
That's a good
always
point.
long term for me.
Okay.
So I feel like I was always committed. I was always, hey, whatever situation I'm getting into, I want it to move forward with some sort
Right.
of a future. Um, with the exception of like one or two things. But
Okay.
uh but I feel like I'm the same person, committed.
That makes
I
sense.
am future, I'm goal oriented, like I'm thinking about long term. What about you?
Okay. I think man, I think that's a hard one too.
Mhm.
I think I'm more realistic. I think that that's
I can
probably
see
one of the
that.
better ways to describe because I think so kind of long background story. My parents, they I've always emulated my parents.
Mhm.
And I think that was a very unrealistic expectation that I put on myself because my dad met my mom in their early 20s and he proposed to her 2 weeks after they first met. And she was like, "Wait, what?" And yes, after 2 weeks, and she's like, "Well, hold on," and he's like, "No, no, no." He's like, "It's either, like, we're gonna get married and that's it." So she's like, "Okay." So they got married, I think at 21 or 22,
Mhm.
and then they had, my sister, then they had me, so they just kinda had everything, and so I had always emulated or tried to emulate what my parents were doing, not
Yeah.
understanding that that's dating, in the '70s
Yeah.
versus dating
Dating
today.
now. Yeah.
And my expectations were extremely unrealistic because I was trying to do what my parents had, not
Mhm.
understanding that I was trying to just fit a square peg into a round hole, and that was not gonna work.
Yeah.
So, I think like, when I finally ended up meeting my husband, I had become so much more realistic about what dating was, and I had dropped that intention to be like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna start dating this person, we're gonna get married, da 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 da." So, my expectations became way more realistic than what they were, for when
Yeah.
I was first kind of in that dating world.
Yeah. No, I think that's so valid though, because I feel like some kids that have such a great upbringing want
Mhm.
to have that and want to emulate that. So kudos to you. I sure as hell didn't. So I was like, mm-mm. Anything that is not like that is what I'm going after.
But you know what, too? On top of that, though, another important thing to say is that, my entry into the dating world was a little bit unrealistic. No, I don't want to say unrealistic. That's not the right word. I was unprepared to be in
Yeah.
that dating world.
Yeah.
So I mean, in all seriousness, I was married in my early 20s,
Same.
and the the funniest part about this is I was still married at the time, and I had gone to meet up with a friend who, oddly enough, I had dated in high school, but we were completely friends.
Yeah.
So the my friend who I was meeting, he was not married at the time. So we're just sitting there, we're chatting it up, and I was like, "Man, I can't. I'm so glad that I'm not dating anymore. I'm so glad I'm not in that dating world." And the dating world was like, "What? What'd you just say? Hold my beer." Just so I was thrust into that dating world shortly afterwards,
Yeah.
and it was I was not prepared at all.
Yeah, much like you, I was also married in my early 20s. That's something that we bonded when we first met.
Yeah.
And um we oh god, he was deployed
Okay.
when we were dating. That's how we met. We met on MySpace, girl, it was the whole thing.
Oh, not
Yeah,
MySpace.
the top 8. Yeah.
He was in your top 10
He
friends?
was in my top. Yeah, we met, he came home, we met, let's say September, we got married in December, and
Okay.
we did not know each other, and we
When you got
were
married.
when we got married, like, we didn't
Okay.
know each other in terms of,
Yep.
how you take the time to get to know someone, no. We
Right.
spent literally 2.5 months together, got married at 3 months, and then he deployed again, and so I kinda just spent my entire time going, "Huh, well, this is cool. Well,
This
I'm
is
locked." Yeah.
this is
In,
weird.
but for me, it was good because it gave me the stability and I didn't have to
Okay.
mess with the dating pool, but then it really got to a point where I was like, "Okay, well, I don't know really who I am
Right.
because I am now becoming the half of this person, but I don't know who this person truly is."
Okay.
And it took a really close friend of mine to say to me, like, hey, he asked me a very pointed question one day. He was like, every time we hang out, all you talk about is this person. He was like, this person, this person, this person. And he goes, but I don't know who you are. Like, who is
Who are
Misha?
you? Oh, okay.
And I said, huh.
Let me think about that one for a
Uh,
minute.
yeah, because everything, the conversation would always be about this person, what we were
That
doing,
person.
and he goes, "I need you to find out who you are." And I was 23 when I got married.
Okay.
I got out of a very long, tumultuous 5-year relationship, like your first love, first breakup.
That
And then,
whole big relationship.
yeah, to then move into a whole ass marriage less than 6 months later. So that was, yeah,
You were just
there
going, like,
was,
from one thing to the next.
yes, I wanted the stability
Yeah.
and that's
Mhm.
what that afforded. But, yeah, I was in that dating pool right after.
Yeah. It was I it was m mine was definitely a lot more contentious, and it was just kinda one of those things where you gotta cut it, and you gotta just pick
Yeah.
yourself up by the bootstraps, and you
Yep.
gotta keep moving, but I was just just insanely underprepared from
Yeah.
being in my, mid-20s to, okay, I'm jumping out into the dating scene, and it was craziness. So, I mean, kinda even speaking of that, what's a dating phase that you look back on and you laugh at now?
Honestly, probably that part of it.
Okay.
Um, it wasn't so much the it wasn't so much like the marriage, like, ending.
Mhm.
It was I literally came to him and was like, "Listen, I think you're a great guy, but you need to be with someone that, is gonna love you the way that you need to be loved, and I'm not that person."
Okay, and
So,
adding the military into it is a whole other
and in the
different
most
ball game too.
whole other ballgame, they live on
Yes.
an expedited timeline, which is understood.
Yes. Mhm.
But it just wasn't working out because we were total strangers. But then I moved into the dating pool and I think I became ruthless, like completely ruthless. I was I really
I
was
love the word.
because I came into it where that's where I had met Jay and I was like, FYI, this isn't anything. I only
Okay,
because I'm coming from a 4-year marriage. I want this to be strictly friends with benefits. I don't
okay.
want anything from this until homeboy tried to like introduce me to his sister, and I was like, we're gonna go
Hold
ahead and
on there.
backpedal.
Hold on. Pump the brakes, pump the
Oh yeah,
brakes.
said no, sir. Mm-mm, no, gotta go.
This is not what we're doing right now.
Not
Nobody
what
has
we're
time for that.
doing. You came in and we were so good friends that I wasn't really paying attention to dating. I guess I was, because oh girl, the funniest phase was the online dating. I didn't do Tinder, but
Oh.
I did
I mean,
Match.com, eHarmony. I know you did a few because you met
I
Chuck on
did,
Tinder.
I did, I did eHarmony. There was no harmonizing in eHarmony. There was Match.com. There was no matching in Match.com. I think I even did Plenty of Fish for about 0.5 seconds. And those
Stop.
things that came, I don't know. Listen, I had come from when the internet didn't exist and like MySpace kind of came in. And then when I came out of being divorced and there was all these dating websites and I was like, I'll press
Yeah.
every one of them because I didn't know what was going on. I was like, let me pick one and just go.
Yeah. What was your funniest phase? Was that, what do you think that would be
Oh,
classified as your
man.
funniest phase, or what do you think?
I Yeah, I mean, that whole phase after getting divorced was a phase. It was crazy because I just was put into this world that I had no clue about what was going on.
Yeah.
Added with that, I didn't date when I lived back at home. There was there was one person that I
Uh-oh.
oh boy, there was one person that I had, we were dating, but this is when I say dating, I mean air quotes in all of the situations
Yeah.
because there was always the red flag was kind of up. And so it was kind of like, we would hang out, but then we would hang out with his friends every once in a while. And when I tell you, these friends, one of them text me. No, they didn't text me. I'm sorry. We were over at his house and they were like, Miko, we just want to let you know that his girlfriend, and I was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, his what? They were like, yeah, his girlfriend is coming back and forth when you're not here. And I was like, oh,
Oh,
okay.
not
So
him
I was
having it as
out.
a whole side.
It was
Wow.
a whole side. I never knew that these types of things existed because in
Yeah.
my little, Polly Pocket, everything is perfect and I'm gonna, and I'm being honest world because that's
Yeah.
where I came from, right? I've
Yeah.
never come from that different side. I was like, wait, this is what people do? So I was like, I'm out. So I ended up moving to Virginia. And when I tell you I moved to Virginia, that was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 strike, and I was out.
Mhm.
So never talked to
Mhm.
this guy again. And he called me when I moved to Virginia and he was like, hey, what are you doing? And I was like, not talking to you. Bye. So it just that kind of put me into that mindset of this is what people do. So I
Yeah.
think that that's the phase that I look back on. I'm laughing at it like, damn, that was
Yeah.
crazy. Because I think that that kind of set me up for, okay, this is where you got to start putting your guard up. This is what you need to,
Mhm.
and they're doing whatever they want to do.
Well, then that leads us into our next question then. Like, did dating teach you about like more about love or more about boundaries?
Boundaries by far. I mean, when I tell you just I feel like it made you question, "What am
Mhm.
I willing to put up with?" And at that
Yes.
point, I was done putting up with certain things. I think well, not at that point. I say when I first kinda started dating because, you're always thinking, "Well, maybe it's because they're this," or, like, classic
Yeah.
when you're waiting for
The
somebody to text you
excuses are
back.
coming in. Mhm.
Yes, and you're waiting for them to text you back, and they're like, "Well, maybe they're just busy," or da 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 da,
Yeah.
and you don't set a hard boundary of what you will and will put up with, and those
Mhm.
boundaries are constantly kind of pushed,
Yeah.
and you have to kinda have this go back and forth of what are you willing to accept versus what you're not.
Mhm.
What we're not gonna do today is we're not gonna do this,
Yeah.
and I think that there was one time that you told me this, and I had never seen this movie. I know you're gonna remember this. You were like, "Miko, have you ever watched the movie He's Just Not That Into You?" And I was like, "The what? What is that? What are you talking about?" And I watched the movie and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Every single person needs to watch this movie when
Yeah.
they're like, I don't know, 17 to just understand." And I feel like it will save so much because if a person's into you, they're going to be into you. And if they're
Yep.
not, all of the signs are there, all of them.
Yeah. I think I 100% agree with that. And I think it helped me a ton because I had such strong male influence in my life
Okay.
from my brothers, my older guy cousins. So I was around, I'm not going to say some people were hoes, but I was around some people that I was
They had
like,
questionable
they
activities.
had questionable activities, and I don't know if I remember saying this, but I am Jamaican, and I was like, "Okay, Imma think Imma take some notes, and
Okay.
I'm gonna stay clear. These are questions I need to ask. These are boundaries I need to set."
Yes.
And it got down to because I was already in, like, that committed marriage
Mhm.
from the long term to the committed marriage to then going to into something I intentionally casual into then going, "Oh, I'm gonna date this person." It came down to a point where I realized there was a fork in the road, and I was the very cutthroat, like I said, ruthless. Like, if we're at a certain time in our relationship, I need to know if we're going left and right, and I
Yes.
need to or are we going straight together? And I remember sitting this person down and going, "Hey, we need to figure out what the next steps are." Granted, it was probably a little bit early and this person was a little bit younger than me, so I came off entirely too
A little
mature.
bit strong.
A little strong. Listen, I've been told left and right that I'm intimidating. It's not that I'm intimidating. I just know what the hell I want. And if you
Yes.
don't fit in that box, to keep it moving.
I
Um,
agree.
and I told that person, I was like, should I get off the pot? And he got off the pot. And I
But
can't
that
fault him
saved
for
you.
that. It
Right, and when I don't mean
1000% did.
saved you, it cut stuff out
Yes.
that you didn't need.
It cut all the fluff out. It was like, cool, then we're not meant to go forward. And that is great. It was tough because I was actually invested in that
Mhm.
relationship at the time. But I was like, this is actually a really good thing because I'm telling this person, hey, this is what I want. He couldn't
Right.
meet that. Cool. It is time
Gotta
for us
move on.
to keep it moving. But
And
yeah,
it is hard to do that. It's hard to do that because you want them to answer what the you want them to answer with what you're hoping that they hear. And when you don't,
yes.
or when they don't, it's kind of a little bit harder to digest because you're like, well, wait a
Yep.
minute. And sometimes I feel like that makes people kind of question their value. And I think that sometimes
Yes.
dating is such a thing of it's not saying that one person's value is more correct than the other person,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really about values and them
100%.
aligning. Yeah.
1,000%. And that goes into our next question is like, did you ever confuse chemistry with compatibility? 1000% I did.
Mhm. Mhm. Like, what made you confuse that chemistry with compatibility?
Because I was so wrapped up in this person, it was like the butterflies, all the things that get you clouded, you're all
Yep.
on on the serotonin of things,
Yes.
and that confuses and blinds you because I had my family going, "What do you see in this
Girl, what are
person?"
you doing?
And I'm going, "Are we talking about the same person?" And they're just like, "Yeah,
Right.
he was a dick or he was this or whatever." And I'm
Right.
going, "Huh, I didn't see
Right.
that."
Because
um,
they see the compatibility, but you're
yes.
thinking about the chemistry between it.
1000%. And the
Yes.
compatibility just in the end was not there. And it took
Right.
me a second to get to that point.
Mhm.
Um, and honestly, I kind of forced his hand on that, but it was certainly needed. And I think a lot of young girls getting older, even women today that are dating or even in unfortunately some marriages have
Yeah.
done the chemistry over actual compatibility and then
Compatibility. You
they end
figure
up
it out later.
you
Right.
figure it out later. Yeah.
Right.
What a what about you?
Um, I would definitely say so. I feel like which is it's so great because my journey is so different from yours
Mhm.
that I definitely did confuse the chemistry with compatibility. And it's funny because I feel like I had gone on different dates, throughout the time that when I moved to Virginia, because that was really when I started like dating and going
Yeah.
around and meeting guys. And there was one guy that I dated who we had a very good chemistry and we did have a very good compatibility for a time being, and
Yeah.
they worked very well, hand in hand. But then once that chemistry part kind of started to, I don't want flatline is not the right thing, because I would say that we dated for probably about a year, about a
Mhm.
good amount of time. And once that chemistry part of, oh, I love him and he loves me, and we're kind of settling
Mhm.
down a little bit, and that compatibility issues kind of started to arise.
Yep.
And that was where, going back to the boundaries, I had thought to myself, and I was like, I have to make a choice here, because just like what you said, I can continue with this relationship
Mhm.
thinking like there's starting things are kind of coming up in my head. Not red flags in the sense of, he does this or he does that or he steps out or whatever it is, but I was like, I don't think that we're compatible in certain ways.
Yeah.
And I then had to go and think to myself, I think it's time to draw that boundary. And it was hard. Like, it was a
Yeah.
hard breakup because I really did like him and
Mhm.
he treated me very well. He was a very, very, very nice guy. But it just, at the end of the day, we were not compatible.
Yeah.
For lifestyle reasons, just when I say lifestyle reasons, like things that I wanted in life versus things that he wanted in
Mhm.
life.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
from many different ways. And so it was kind of one of those things where we tried to remain friends, but I was like, this is just, it's not going to be a thing. So I would say that early on, I definitely confused chemistry with compatibility. But then
Mhm.
I feel like the more that you unfortunately like learn these lessons, the more that you learn to be like, okay, this is not
You
compatible.
pinpoint it.
Yes. And you
Yes.
are like, I gotta cut it because it's not gonna be worth my time and it's not gonna be worth yours either.
Yes, you're starting to see your own red flags that are coming up
Yes,
in
exactly.
situations.
Exactly. Speaking of red flags, what were your friends, even though I feel like the answer is no, but were your friends able to see red flags before you could?
No, yes and no. In that one situation, actually 2 situations, my very first of like long-term relationships, I accepted some things in that relationship
Yeah.
where my sister-in-law was like, "This is not okay."
Mhm.
And this was my first experience in the date in like okay, I come from a very strict family where I wasn't allowed to date until I was 16, which for me 16 was senior year in high school. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So boys weren't coming to the house, boys couldn't call the house. Okay.
You can't
Some
come to the house.
no. A guy called the house one day and he was like, "Hey, is Misha there?" And they hung up on him. I you
Now she
don't
ain't
come
here. Click.
you don't call my house without saying hello, good evening, how are you doing?
Okay,
Like you
very
need to have
traditional.
the mannerisms need to be about it. And then on top of that, when I did start dating, I didn't wanna date anybody in my high school, and I'm like,
Yeah.
this is not okay for me."
Okay.
Um, so then when I did get into my first real boyfriend, it was like 6 months, it wasn't a thing. So
Okay.
then I get into my first actual, uh, relationship, it's 5 years, and there are some things in there. A really close friend of mine, so we were dating, we broke up, but we're still living together. This is like it's
I'm
a whole
sorry.
thing.
Run that
Yes.
back.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So this 5-year relationship, there were some things that went on that we ended up moving in together.
Got it.
So I can't divulge too much because it involves like family stuff.
Of course.
So we start living together, but we broke up, maintained living together,
Got it. Okay.
and
Okay.
then some like disrespectful things happened. And I remember a
That's when it's
close
done.
friend of mine was out with us and she goes, I know you're not putting up with that. Because she just knew how strong of a person I was. And
Very strong.
that comment just like knocked sense into me. And then I was getting ready to go on a trip and he didn't even offer to help me take my bags, not even offer, he didn't even take my bags out to the car, and my sister-in-law
Oh,
saw me coming out with, like, my big bag. I was going to Poland,
what?
and she got in the car with me, and she reamed my ass out.
Lit into you.
Lit into me, which is
But you need that.
that's what I needed.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, I went on that, trip. I visited some friends in Poland. I remember coming back, packing my
Whole new
shit,
person. Yep.
and dipping. I was like,
Done.
Done." That was the red flags that my family and my friends were like,
And that's good that you saw that and you listened
"Yeah,
to it because I feel like sometimes people are not good at looking at
not
or not
receptive."
they're not receptive to the red
No.
flags even though they see it. The person has a whole red flag on their face. Everything that they
Mhm.
do is a red flag, but you're just and they're just not ready to see that
They're
there's
not
that red
ready.
flag. But that was good that you saw because if you who knows what, how long you would have wasted time being in that
A
relationship if you didn't listen.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'd taken those little nuggets of each time something went left or whatever the case is, I would take those little nuggets of red flags to look out into the next situation I got into.
Yes, you put those in your back pocket for
Oh,
sure.
yeah. Oh,
For sure.
100%. Oh my
I mean,
god.
that's interesting coming from, somebody who you are my red flag referee 'cause there was Misha doing the
Yes.
plane thing going, "Ooh, ooh, ooh, red flag,"
Nope.
going,
Go left, exit left now.
"It's so true."
Oh my
If
god.
that is not the truest thing, you were my rider. That was one person that I had dated, and I specifically remember you almost left my ass on an island one time because the
Oh,
red
I sure the hell did. Mhm. No, she
the
needs
red
to go. Oh, you're
she
staying?
needs to
Oh,
go.
wrap it up. We're
Gotta
going.
go.
We're
I was like,
going.
"Oh, she about to leave me. I gotta
I
go."
sure the hell was. I was
But
like, I'm
I
not about mm-mm.
cannot, cannot. There were because I again, it just it's crazy how your personalities, how they factor so much in to how
Yeah.
you're dating. And for me, I was like, I'm putting my entire self into this. I'm honest. I'm loyal.
Mhm.
I am a writer. If we're together or if I think that we're dating or if we've said that we're dating, then
Yeah.
I'm not talking to anybody else. And
Yep.
so the part of me is, oh, no, 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 we're dating. We're cool. Like, we're honest with each other. And he's just like, no, we're not. No, we're not. We're not. Move on. So I constantly wanted to see the good in people, and those red flags could be super apparent. And I was like, no, no. And then finally I was like, you know what? Okay. And
Yeah.
that's just talking to you, talking to my friends, back home or whoever, talking
Mhm.
to my sister, or whatever it may be. And at a certain point, though, I think the biggest thing is that it doesn't matter how many red flags that a person has. If you don't want to see the red flags and if you're not
Yep.
receptive to understanding that
Mhm.
the whole thing is a red flag,
Yeah.
you're going to chill out in that red flag until you are ready to be done with it.
Or you may never be ready and then you just sit there and lose the person that you once
Are.
were in
Yeah.
that
Yep.
relationship.
Yep.
So speaking of,
So true.
so in some of these relationships, what do you think, and even now, like, as we're gonna move forward into talking about marriage, but, like, what version of yourself showed up in those relationships? Was it a people pleaser, a fixer,
Oh, boy.
independent, or avoidant?
So I think that I started to be a mix
Mhm,
of, I think I started to become a mix. And I think it was because my evolution was so different from being in my late 20s into my 30s. And as I started to become kind of taking those red flags and putting them in my pocket and taking those experiences, I
mhm.
moved from a people pleaser to being independent. And
Yeah,
that it was a hard journey, but it was one I think that was very worthwhile. So,
yeah.
fun story time. There oh boy. So, there was this guy that I met at a bar, and we were with a friend, we were with one of our girls who are friends,
Mhm,
and we both were like, "Oh, he's cute." And I was naturally like, "Well, I'm gonna go talk to him." So I went to go talk to him, and he ended up being a whole hot ass mess. And I specifically remember there was one time that we had gone to the grocery store because we were going out with his friends.
mhm.
Um Girl, he forgot his credit card. And he's like, "Oh, I forgot my card. Do you mind, paying for these groceries and I'll hit you back?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." It was like
Yeah,
$50 worth of groceries. So I was like, "All right, that's cool." Now that's back when grocery price anyway. So
yeah.
so I'm like 50. Today I've been like, "Nah, I need you to run me that back."
Yep, yep.
So that was one kind of little thing where I was like, "Okay, this is cool." But I thought that it was weird because of course he never paid me back, but we were still kind of dating.
Yeah,
When I tell you, we were at a bar and I caught him getting texts from somebody else. And I was like, what is this?" And he's like, "Oh, no, 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 no." And so he's trying to put his phone down. I was out. I was done.
yeah.
Cause I was
Good
like,
for
now the me
you.
before would have been like,
Mhm.
"Oh, it's okay. He didn't mean
Justifying.
it," or whatever it was. And I was like, "I've been here. I've done that. We're
Yeah,
good. I'm out." So that went from a people pleaser to I'm independent. I'm cool. He tried to call me back. He tried to text me back. And I was like, no, he wanted me to meet his mom. And I was like, see, this is the stuff that I'm talking about. This is the weird stuff. What are we
yeah.
doing here? So I went from being a complete people pleaser to being independent, where I was like, you know what? I have a job. I can pay
Mhm.
my own bills. I don't need any of this. If I'm dating someone, it's because you are bringing something to my life as
Yeah,
opposed to taking something from me. And I
yeah.
don't I've been with I've seen takers, I've dated takers. I'm good. So, what
Look
about
at
you? What
us. We've evolved. We're
evolving?
like
This
little
the
butterflies.
we are evolving because this whole world is a circus and I feel
Yes.
like it's people on I don't wanna say all the time, but I feel like people kind of romanticize what dating is, and
Mhm.
dating sucks. It's not fun. It's just
Yeah,
it's like this up and down kinda thing that's going on where you're doing, this kinda shuck and jive with people like, "Are you cool?
yep,
Are you cool?" And
yep.
it's hard. So, I don't know, what would you say? What version of you showed up when you're dating?
God, I don't think I was ever a people pleaser. I think I was always I don't I don't know. I was a little too fixated on myself. Um, I I would always say I would show up as independent because,
Mhm.
um, God, the women in my family, they are so independent. It was
Mhm.
almost like you have to be that way, but also looking at other examples of relationships is so when
Right.
I got into like actual dating, I was like, I'm not gonna be me.
Yeah.
So the fixer, yes, because I always, I wanted things to work out, but definitely the independent piece for sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes almost too independent. Um,
Mm.
yeah, that could be, the independence can go so far where I'm like, the person I'm dating, it feels like it's too much for
'Cause they're
them.
like, "You don't even need me. What's the point?"
Exactly. And
Yeah.
funny enough, my husband now, I when we started dating, we went through this phase of like it was almost too much about me. And
Okay.
I sat him down. I was like, I need to know more about you. I feel like
Mhm.
and this is so anti me, but I was just like we've been on all these dates and I just feel it is so centered on me. I want to
Mhm.
get to know like more about you.
Which
Um,
showed that you were ready to be more in that
yes,
if you were interested in learning
for
about the other
sure.
person. Yeah.
It definitely was. I wanted it to be more of a mutual thing versus
Mhm.
just so one-sided. But then it did come down to a point where I was like, "Hey, listen, kind of like what you said, I've got a job, I've got like I'm doing all these things." It was I have built this like for proverbial Sunday and you're just the cherry on top. So
Mhm.
I don't necessarily need you in my life. I
I
want you
want
to
you.
be a
Yeah.
part of my life.
Yeah.
And that's where the independence set that foundation where I was like, everything that I'm doing if I'm intentionally dating and when I moved into this, dating phase of moving into being married, it was I wanted it to be so focused on building a partnership
Right.
versus it being all about one or the other person.
That makes sense. Which I think that that's funny too cuz I feel like when you get to that point where it is you're comfortable within yourself, even it's
Mhm.
so cliche. It is the most cliche thing I've ever heard, but it's true. It is
Yeah,
so true that when you kind of have your own self together and you are willing and open in terms of kind of like building that partnership, that's when it
yeah.
kind of works because I was I had dated here. I think I was here for probably about 5 years. And, you just kinda go through your ebbs and flows of dating, and it's like, "Oh, I think it's
Mhm.
gonna work. Nope, never mind. Okay, it's not gonna work." And I was kinda like, "You know what? I'm over it. I'm cool.
Yeah.
I'm good." And I had decided for myself, I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna get my master's." Of all the places, I was like, "I think I'm gonna move to Texas because 'cause I'm a young, free spirit. This is great." And, I had, of course, I was on Tinder because being in the teaching world, you don't you're s it's a very women-centric profession, or it's a women, dominant profession,
Mhm.
and I was like, I'm not gonna meet a guy here because 'cause they're either, 20 years older than me or they're already married.
Yeah.
So I was on Tinder, and that's when Chuck and we met each other. And when I tell you I had become, kind of going back to that version of me that showed up in relationships, I had
Yeah.
gone back to being completely independent. I was done. I was like, this is good. I'm cool. And I showed up 20 minutes late to our first date because I left when I was supposed to be there because I just didn't care anymore. I was like,
Yeah.
whatever it is,
Oh,
I'm good. I got this. It's either going to work or it's not going to work. So
yeah.
he's texting me and he's like, hey, do you want me to order you a beer? And I was like, yeah, that's cool. I was like, I'll be there. So I
Yeah.
showed up, and I had zero cares because I was so much more confident in myself. And it was funny
Mhm.
because I even almost canceled that date, and my roommate at the time, she's like,
Look
"Miko,
at you
just
now. I'm
go.
glad you did
It's"
not.
she said, "Miko, just go. It's not like you're gonna marry the dude." And I was like, "Yeah,
Not
that's true." And then here we are, a kid and a dog later, almost 10
Oh my
years.
god.
So I feel like that is it's funny how when you are no longer necessarily focused on that person for the wrong reasons and like you can
Yeah.
focus on them for the right reasons, I feel like that's kind of when it starts to work.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, and taking all of that, like, what advice would you give your younger dating self now that you're comfortable or were you were comfortable before you moved over into marriage?
Man, that's a saddle up. I mean, just have a drink ready. I mean, there's so many things I could say. I
Yeah.
think that you have to give yourself, you really have to give yourself grace because I think that and I mean it in like a funny way, but dating sucks. And I
Yeah.
think that it's hard because I wish, and I have said this so many times, there are people who are in it just because they want to date for fun and
Mhm.
they really have zero intention of settling down. And there are
Yeah.
people that there's a second set of people who they want to date and they want to marry and they want to
Yeah.
settle down and find their partner. And it just seems to be that those two groups intermingle throughout each other and one side
Mhm.
is left feeling kind of just jacked up.
Yeah.
And I wish that people would just have a sticker like, I'm in it for the fun or I'm in it for dating. And then you can
That's so
meet your
true.
person, right? Because
Yes.
I feel like that's it's people meet the wrong person all the time, and I think that that's what makes people so disillusioned about
Yeah.
dating and so over it because they keep meeting the person who doesn't have the right intention. So
Mhm.
I think that you just have to give yourself patience because
Yeah.
as dumb as it sounds, you have to be patient and focus on yourself because
Yeah.
if you are not focusing on yourself and you're just constantly trying to like date that dude or date that girl, or date whoever, because
Mhm.
you just want the relationship, you just want the communication, and you just want to find companionship, you're going to keep
Mhm.
running into the same issues all over again.
100%. If you're
So,
not trusting yourself, I think my biggest thing would be trust my instincts.
mhm,
I had
mm,
great instincts and that gut feeling, trust it, um,
yes.
because it will not lead you astray. So I think that would be my biggest just advice to myself being younger because I'd have gotten out of some situations a lot sooner, but
Right. But it taught you
that's
something though.
okay.
It's
It
yeah,
did.
it's good. We
It all those little nuggets prepared me for marriage. It
for where
prepared me
you
f
are.
you
S-
1000%.
So, how did dating prepare you for marriage and how did it not?
Well, let's see. So dating for sure helps me set boundaries. It
Okay.
definitely made me prioritize what I was willing and will not accept in a marriage, but
Mhm.
also just to essentially honor who I am, but also, hey, this is a partnership that we're building.
Yep.
So I there are things that those boundaries can also become an area of compromise, right?
Right.
Um,
You're like
there's
what you're willing to give and take or
Absolutely, the give
compromise
and
on.
take. There are some things that I'm like, "This is hard. No, this is a hard black and white." And there are other things where I'm like, "Okay, if it's going to benefit the greater good, is this worth an argument? Is this worth,
Yep.
XYZ?" So, it definitely the boundaries piece that I learned in dating for sure. And then what it didn't, I don't know. I feel like dating for me just prepared me for all of it.
You're right. I think the whole thing does.
Yeah.
That's what dating is it is the marriage of it for people who want to go to that step. That's what it
Mhm.
does.
Mhm. And you?
I would say hmm, I think that dating it very much helped me become a stronger person because I think
Yeah.
leading into dating, I mean, as honest as I'm going to be,
Mhm.
I was not ready. I had this whole idea in my head that dating it's easy. It's easy
Yeah.
because it was easy for my parents and it's
Yeah.
easy because especially at the time where I was getting divorced a lot. I guess I was like the first wave of people that were getting married. And
Mhm.
then I was one of the first people who were getting divorced. And in getting back into that dating arena, it was like, wait a minute, what is this? Because
Yeah.
it seems so easy for everybody else.
But
And
behind
I
closed
feel
doors.
it is not. But, it's that picture perfect kind of thing, that people think of,
Yeah.
um, or it looks like it. And so I feel like dating, it helped me because it really reframed my mind on what dating is and what a healthy marriage should be.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have that idea. And I think that that's why my dating season was possibly so long because there were so many different lessons and there were so many different ways that I needed to be strengthened
Yeah.
before I was presented with someone who fit all those bills. Because I
Right.
think prior to that, I could have settled. And with my family, with you, with my friends, it kind of helped me navigate through that to
Mhm.
be ready for this is what a marriage should be based off of what dating should not be,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
No, it
Um,
definitely makes sense.
and I think it did not prepare me dating. I agree with you too that I think everything that you go through in dating, that's what the preparation is because you learn
Yeah.
your boundaries, you learn how to compromise, you learn what you're willing to take and give, and you learn more about yourself. And I think that once once you get to be that person that's ready for dating or for
Mhm.
marriage, and then you get there. then it's a whole other
Yeah.
then
Ooh,
then you're
child.
about to learn
Then
a
it
whole other
really
new set of
starts.
things. That's when it really starts. Like, for sure, that's when it really starts. I do have a question. How do you think that social media, like, how do you think that that has changed the dating landscape?
Oh, child. It is access.
Yep.
Access. In one word, access. It has
Mhm.
changed the access to multiple different people, multiple different times. The
Yep.
options for everything is out there.
Yes.
I couldn't. It's just no way in hell. Social
Yeah.
media just gives you a facade of
Yep.
what a person really is, and it gives you, because everybody knows Instagram is your highlight reel. It's not the
It's
real
your
shit that
highlight reel
goes
for
on
the
in your
day.
life. A
Right.
1000%. So you get so bogged down with that. So you think that is the expectation when it is far from it.
And you're trying to emulate it. You're trying to, it's yeah. It's funny because I, especially what you said with access,
Mhm.
because if you think about it, we were kind of in the very beginning when it was MySpace and it
Yeah.
was, Plenty of Fish
And
or whatever.
Facebook and Black
These
Planet.
right, these websites that you had to pay for,
Yeah.
for all those different things. And now you've got, these people that are in DMs, and I feel like it's so much I genuinely feel like it's so much harder than it ever was
Mhm.
because people don't have to experience hardship.
No.
Like, when you're dating and stuff is going sideways and you have to kind of be like, "No," you're gonna dig your heels in, where I feel like a lot of people now, they're just like, "Whatever, I can just move on to the next
Yeah.
person." And it seems like they're so it's just I couldn't even imagine because there's so many temptations,
Mhm.
and it just seems like it has completely changed that dating world. And I'm like, damn.
It no way.
I empathize so much.
I couldn't do it. Not on not happening. Um, so I guess we should wrap this up, but we're gonna wrap this up with our last question.
Yeah.
And it is, of everything that we just talked about, the good, the bad, what is that one lesson from dating that still impacts your life today?
Think that you still have to be your true self. I think that dating pushes you to so many hard places where you question. You're like, should I be this way? Should
Mhm.
I change myself? Should I do something different? Whether it be physical, emotional,
Yes.
mental, it pushes you to question so much of yourself, and like, why me? Why
Mhm.
am I going through this? Why is somebody doing this? Or why can't I find that person? Or why can't that person find me? And I can say that I have maintained exactly who I am in
Mhm.
terms of like my core being. I'm
Yes.
still the same goofy, lovable person.
Yes.
But I think we know that. But I think that I am still myself. I can say that through all of the walks that I've walked through this whole dating circus, that I am still me. I am still myself. And I didn't compromise on any of that, regardless of the nonsense that I went through. So I think it's that the lesson is still to be yourself, because at some point, as
Mhm.
so much BS that you have to go through, you're still going to end up finding that person.
Yes.
When you're yourself and you don't compromise on it. What about you?
I
What's one lesson?
100% agree. It's going to be very similar. It's maintaining my identity throughout everything that I've been
Yep.
through. It's
Yeah.
it has changed me in some way, but it same thing. It did not change the core being of who I am. So
Mhm.
maintaining that identity was something that my biggest lesson was to. I had that one bad experience,
Yeah.
and from that, I was like, no way in hell. I'm not going to compromise on the person that I am and my values.
Right.
Um, and yeah, that's my biggest and truest lesson that I still to this day, I don't care who you are coming into my life as a friend.
Yep.
When my husband came into my life, my now husband, I'm maintaining the person who I am.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That is it's true. It's hard, but it's very true. I think I agree, because we are still Eminem
we are
every
still
damn day.
Eminem.
So I feel like, I mean, I feel like that's a great way to kind of close everything
Yeah.
out, is that thought on dating before marriage is like, looking back now, dating, it really is more than just finding love. It's
Hmm.
about finding yourself. And as much as it's a circus in whichever way and format and however it fits into people's worlds. Every single relationship, good or bad, it teaches you who you are and it makes you who you are today.
Yep. I full-hearted agree. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. And don't forget to tune in next time when we're going to talk about marriage, kids, and our 40s, expectations versus reality.
And the reality is reality. All right. So until then, stay real
Stay relatable and keep it mixed.
and mingled.
Bye.
Bye.